welcome to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back.
Hello.
Hello, Matt. It's we took another break again because it's not very easy to find movies these days, or certainly not new movies.
Yeah.
We may move into talking about some older movies again. That might be a move. Although, hot off the press, 4th of July cinemas are reopening. So we may have
to see how it works.
It's going to be interesting to see which studios are willing to take the plunge and release their movies. I suspect we're going to get a lot of old movies re-released into the cinema, I assume.
Well, as my wife said, I said, are they going to have half of the seats empty? And my wife said, pretty much it's going to be one person surrounded by empty seats for a while, isn't it? So
yes, unless you're a couple.
Yeah,
because that would crap. I mean, I will level with you now. If I can't sit with my partner, I won't be going at all.
Yeah.
Other than to see Godzilla, which has been delayed till next year anyway. So by then that won't be a problem, I hope. It's going to be interesting. I assume that if you're from the same household, you can sit next to each other, but then you have to give a gap. I've seen on buses, I've not been on any, but I've seen on buses they've got signs on every single seat saying keep your distance, keep a seat free or a couple of seats free. So maybe that's the plan. I don't quite know, but I'm really intrigued as to what they're even going to show, because everything's been pushed back. Wonder Woman's been pushed back, Tenet's been pushed back, everything, right? I think
Tenet's only been pushed back a couple of months, hasn't it? I think
it has, but if they're opening in July, we had Wonder Woman in June.
Well, I guess they could show all the stuff that they sort of, that's been available on, pay-per-view, maybe.
It just makes you wonder whether that's going to be really worth their while when you're paying staff and stuff. It's an interesting one, though, because, me and my girlfriend said about this when the lockdown happened, and we were talking about cinema coming back, and we were like, well, how are they going to do it? Are they going to do, half capacity or whatever? And I said to her, I guess it's the movies that we tend to watch, but I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a packed theater. Probably when me and you went to see Avengers.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think it all depends on when you go as well, isn't it? I tend to go during the day, so I don't usually get full sort of things, but
we tend to go in the evenings, on a weeknight. But certainly for, Godzilla I saw first thing in the morning, so no one was there. I watched that film on my own, and it was wonderful. One of the nicest experiences cinema wise of my life. So I definitely plan, it's going to be my new thing for watching movies I really want to watch and my girlfriend's not interested in. Going first thing in the morning and having a coffee while watching Godzilla was awesome. So definitely plan to do that.
That's how I like doing it.
It feels quite rare that we ever get a cinema that's packed, to be honest. So I don't know how much difference it's going to make. I think the main difference is going to be there aren't movies. So I don't know. Be interesting to see what they do.
I'm sure they can find stuff.
For sure. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they were just like, okay, now's your chance. All the indie movies, we're putting in cinemas because we've got nothing better to show. That would be great. What an opportunity for indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible. By the way, if you can hear a fan in the background on this recording, it's boiling in here. I have to have something on.
It's boiling. Yeah.
It reminds me of the BSR days. It's fan's not on. I'm not going to be in.
Massive wind tunnel going off in the background.
Yes, it's not that bad. It's that fan was ridiculous.
That was a massive fan.
Anyway, it feels like a long time since we've done this. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but a lot has happened in 2 weeks. I assume you've seen some films?
I have indeed.
Excellent. Do you want to kick it off with a film?
Sure. I'll start off with the Last Days of the American Crime.
Ooh, okay, I don't even know anything about this one. So
this is a it's a Netflix movie. It came out a couple of weeks back now, I think.
I've been unsubscribed from Netflix for a good 4 months now, because I'd kind of watched everything, so I was like, just move on to something else. So I've got Prime, and I'm back on Shudder at the moment, but I will be coming back to Netflix because I see that Lucifer's coming back in August, so I'll
I didn't realize you were watching Lucifer. We stopped watching that about season 4, I think.
Oh, I love it. It's just really easy, fun TV.
When the what's his name? The guy who was Superman.
Yes.
When he turned up, it got so silly that we couldn't keep with it.
Yeah, they've moved.
Like, I know it's a silly show anyway.
It is a very silly show.
That season was like just ridiculous. It wasn't even fun.
The last season was better. The Netflix season, they definitely improved it there. But yeah, I mean, I guess inevitably they couldn't do the buddy cop thing forever as much as I wanted them to. I guess eventually they had to start upping the stakes, and I think that's what Amazon tried to do in that last season for them. But yeah, I agree, it wasn't the best. But I did very much enjoy the last season on Netflix, although it is fully ridiculous now. They've gone full on Heaven and Hell, whereas before the Heaven and Hell was a side story. It's much more like the central focus now.
Yeah, I think it sort of started becoming a little too like the later seasons of Supernatural. It was a bit like,
I don't think we're quite there yet. It's like unwatchably bad. Supernatural was. Do you know? I've always said. I know we're getting right off topic immediately. If they had just finished on season 5, I would own that on DVD.
When it should have finished, yeah.
And it was when it was meant to finish. And you know what? At that point, it would have been a near perfect series. I would have owned it on DVD. Yeah. But they have ripped it now. They have flopped that dead horse into the ground. It's unwatchable. So anyway, sorry. Back to the point.
That's fine. So it's a
Netflix movie
directed by Olivier Megaton.
That's a hell of a name.
Yeah, he previously did Columbiana and Transporter 3, Taken 2, I think. Taken 3 as well, I mean, maybe. So he's not got a great track record.
Well, I mean, is it his fault? I mean, he's given these scripts for sequels, and maybe they're not, And I know that Taken 2 was actually a reasonably good film once you watch the uncut version. It's just that they cut it for the cinema, so that's really not his fault either. No. Transporter 3 was a piece of shit. I can tell you that much.
Was the Transporter 2 the one where they went massively over the top with the weird sort of like but
with humor, and it really was just funny, and I liked it because it was funny. The third one was just rubbish.
Yeah. And then they've gone into like a TV series and another movie.
So, yeah. I don't know. I've not seen anything after 3. So, no. I mean, to be honest, I think they were lucky to get 2 movies out of it, let alone a third.
Yeah. So we've got starring. It stars Edgar Ramirez and Michael Pitt, who's Michael Pitt's a little weirdly a bit hit and miss. He's been in some really good stuff like Funny Games and I Origins, but he's also been in some really terrible stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, this film it takes place in a slightly into the future, and America has decided
the date of near future.
Yes, the date of near future. America has decided that it's going to use this new signal that it's going to be broadcast countrywide, and what it does is it disrupts it basically disrupts you the moment you have a sort of bad thought, a criminal thought.
Oh, okay. This sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, it's very sort of Black Mirror episode. And I saw the trailer and thought, okay, I'll give that a go.
It's an interesting premise and potentially a scary look into the future.
Yeah. So you've got Edgar Ramirez, who is this like career criminal bank robber, and his crew, and obviously they're sort of like they've all realised that it's crime is about to end. So there's all these like riots going on, and there's people just randomly committing crimes while they still can, and they've got sort of the border to Canada has been set up sort of so that it's you can't get across unless you've got a certain amount of money or a certain, and you get sort of people sort of trying to get across the border, getting gunned down and stuff like that.
Right.
And so in this, what happens is his brother is going to jail, sort of thing, and he's going to be out in a couple of months. So they sort of plan to do all these things, and while he's in jail, his brother dies. He supposedly commits suicide.
Right.
So Michael Pitt's character turns up and is this sort of like weird, spoilt rich kid, and his girlfriend, played by Anna Brewster, who tell him that they want to do. He was with his brother when he was in prison, and it was the guards beat him to death, basically.
Okay.
So he's portraying him. He's got this plan that they can do a massive bank job. They've got a plan to disrupt the signal for the first 30 minutes of the signal being twitched on, which gives them half an hour to rob this place that where old banknotes go.
Right.
So then what you get is this sort of heist movie, sort of futuristic sort of thing, and it's bloody awful.
Oh, that's a shame. I was kind of, when you were explaining the premise to me, I was like, oh, I kind of like the idea of this, like, oh, we're going to be introducing, like, basically thought crime. So if we're going to do a crime, like, now is the time. And I also really like heist movies. That's a shame. That's a shame. The premise had promise there, you know?
It's the thing is it's 2.5 hours long.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And it takes...
I mean, I like long movies, but a heist movie, 2.5 hours, but
it's not even they spend like 40 minutes setting everything up, but not in a sort of like, an interesting way. What's going on? It's like, when is something gonna fucking happen? Oh
no,
there's like lots of like little sort of plot threads that sort of weave in and out and sort of don't either go anywhere or are irrelevant. And there's a whole sort of side story with Shalto Copley's in it,
right?
And he's playing this this copper who obviously, now that this is happening, the cops are going to be irrelevant, so they're all sort of like, winding the coppers down. And I
guess they still need to arrest people, right?
Well, the FBI are going to be the ones taking over.
Oh, I see.
A certain amount of coppers have signed on to get this implant, which goes into their head that blocks the signal. But his story sort of like, you think, well, where is his story going? It goes absolutely nowhere. I don't even know why he was in the movie. It's really strange. He's like probably the biggest name in the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's completely wasted.
That's a real shame. It sounded like that had some promise there. Like there's a spark of a good idea in there, I would have watched that if I had Netflix. I would have seen that and been like, that's an interesting premise. I'll give that a watch. Well,
it's apparently based on a graphic novel.
Right.
Which I've not read. But there's like there seems to be so much going on, but not anything going on as well. It's like there's all this stuff with sort of like the sort of the three mains. Sort of, there's the are they being double crossed by this woman? She's got this sort of, the FBI have got her sister, and there's she's this sort of computer hacker, and then there's something wrong with the rich kid, and it's like, oh god, man, there's so much, but it's just not going anywhere. And by the time that sort of you do get somewhere, it's like, oh, I just want it to fucking end now.
That is a shame.
Some of the gun battles aren't too bad. Some of the actual action scenes are okay. There's one in this mansion that's quite good. But overall, it's like that. You set up these characters and just this ridiculous things happen, and you're like, oh, it's like, Christ, you really didn't think about that very well, did you? What the hell's going on with this bloody script? It was honestly one of those one of those times where it's like, oh, that was seriously 2.5 hours of my life I fucking want back.
That is a real shame.
Yeah, I cannot recommend this movie. It was absolutely atrocious. I mean,
shame.
The acting was terrible. The script was terrible.
It was just terrible.
It was just genuinely awful. I just wanted more. I mean, I don't know, because it was 2.5 hours. Maybe if they set it up as a mini series or something, I don't know, and set it up that way, it might have been a little better. But I don't know. It just was not a good movie. It was just terrible.
Well, that is a shame. Like I said, it sounded like it had an interesting
Mm.
premise, but I guess a premise is not enough. So
No,
that's that.
I mean they don't the even the heist isn't thought about enough to make it sort of seem viable.
Right.
It's sort of it's a bit too sort of hit and miss for it to even like work properly. But hey, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how you want to do it. I mean,
Give it 2.5 hours, I guess.
Edgar Ramirez I've seen in a few things, and he's usually okay. But I don't even think he was sort of like wanted to be in this movie. It just feels so like bad.
Just yeah. Wow. What a shame. Well, I saw a film that I thought was very entertaining. I think you might have already seen it, actually.
Okay.
But I watched Jumanji: The Next Level.
Is that the first one or the second one?
The second one.
I haven't seen the second one yet.
Oh, you haven't? I thought for some
No.
reason I had it in my mind that you'd watched it a couple of weeks ago.
I really want to. I haven't got around to it.
I must have imagined that. I think. Did you like the first one?
I loved the first
Welcome
one.
to the Jungle. You will love this one just as much.
It was
it's a terrific sequel.
The first one was a genuinely great surprise that it was actually brilliant.
100% agree. I went into Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle expecting it to be awful.
Yeah.
And I was so pleasantly surprised. In fact, I think I ended up watching it after you said it was good because I was like, really? Okay. Yeah, I really liked Welcome to the Jungle. I thought it was charming, funny. And it had, although it was in Jumanji rather than Jumanji in the world, it had enough of Jumanji in it. It had the spirit of that original film in it. And it felt like a really good, it was good that they didn't retread the same story.
And there was a few nice little nods to the original film, which I quite liked as well, which was good.
Yeah, I loved it when they went to his house and stuff. Was it Alan from the first one? I forget what his name. That was all great, all of that stuff. So they made another sequel, and I was a bit like, at first I was a bit like, well, why have we got the same characters again? How are they going to do that? Because it was early on, it was announced it was going to be Dwayne again, and it was going to be Jack Black and Kevin Hart and Karen Gillan. And I was like, how are they going to make this work? Because really, I guess you could have them with different people, but then I saw it was the same cast coming back, and I was like, well, is it just going to be the same thing again? Are they just going to make the same movie twice? And the answer is no, they didn't.
That's what I like about the idea for this one, is the fact that you've got their avatars, so that they can
their
be
avatars,
anybody.
And that works. What concerned me was that it was the same characters.
That they have to act like the people that they're supposed to be, which is depends on.
They do a tremendous job. All of the actors in this do an amazing job. So this is directed by Jake Kasdan, who directed Welcome to the Jungle as well, and obviously starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Nick Jonas, Danny Glover, and Danny DeVito. And it's set 2019, so it's 3 years after the last movie.
Right.
And all of the kids have basically gone on to lead separate lives, effectively. But they're planning a reunion brunch for, I can't remember if it's for anything. It must be like a holiday or something. They're meeting up again. And they're meanwhile, while that's going on, Spencer, who was the main character from the first film, he's been kind of bored with his life. Like, everyone else has gone on to do things, and he's kind of bored. So he's contemplating returning to Jumanji, which he basically does. So he takes a broken video game and he repairs it as best he can and enters the game. So then his friends come back to visit, and he's gone, and they don't know where he is. So they go to visit Spencer's grandfather, Eddie, who's played by Danny DeVito, amazingly by Danny DeVito, who's currently recovering from hip surgery, and his former friend, Milo Walker, played by Danny Glover. And he's visiting for unknown reasons. He's just turned up. He's a former business partner of Eddie's, but they don't get on at all. They've had a massive falling out in the past because Milo decided to sell the business. It was like a restaurant.
Right.
Milo decided to sell his half, and the whole business kind of fell apart after that. And Milo went off to kind of enjoy his life. He was retired. He was done with it. But Eddie, it was all Eddie wanted was to run the restaurant. So they've fallen out. So the gang obviously find that Spencer's gone into Jumanji, and they decide to go in after him. But the game's broken. It's only been partially repaired. So they all enter, but they're not the same characters anymore. So is it Bethany? I think Bethany is still played by Karen Gillan.
Yeah, Ruby.
Ruby, sorry, it was Ruby, wasn't it? Yes.
Well, Ruby's the Karen Gillan
yes.
avatar, isn't it?
Yes, sorry, yes, yeah. Yeah, so she's still the same person. Everyone else is switched around. So Dwayne The Rock Johnson in this one, who was Spencer in the previous one, now plays Danny DeVito. Yeah. Kevin Hart is now Danny Glover's character, Milo, and so on and so on. So the I forget his name. Oh yeah, Anthony Johnson from the first one, Fridge. He's now Jack Black's character.
Yeah.
And she plays Martha, doesn't? Sorry, it was Martha that plays this Karen Gillan's character, and then Bethany, I think, is the other one. So whoever the popular girl is, she just disappears. They get into the world and they're like, "Where is she? She's just gone." But basically, the movie kind of sets out where everything's all mixed up and everyone's the wrong character. And like you said, this movie entirely hinges on the actors managing to pull off the performances. And I will say that Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart playing Danny DeVito and Danny Glover are hilarious. They're amazing, and it really does. It honestly sells this whole movie.
I must admit, the first one was probably the only movie I've ever liked Kevin Hart in.
I really liked him in this one as well. He's great in this, and actually, I would agree. I've not seen much Kevin Hart movies that I've enjoyed that much.
Slightly toned down in that movie, as opposed to most of the other things I've seen him in.
And he's really toned down in this one because he's playing Danny Glover. So, like he's like a different character. This movie is really funny. I had a really good time. I think it's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of laughs. There's I don't want to ruin it. There's some really funny moments in the film in terms of who people inhabit. They also find a lake where they can swap bodies. And it's like a glitch in the game, and if two characters enter it, then they'll switch characters.
Got you.
But yeah, it's honestly, I thought it was a tremendously fun, enjoyable movie. If you liked Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, you'll love The Next Level. It's tremendous.
Great. I'm have to watch that this week then, maybe.
I would recommend it. It's good fun. It's really good fun. I think Amazon had it.
The second one is as good.
Yeah, I was a bit worried, but I think they did. I think they did a really good job. It was really good fun, and I think Amazon had it for like £2 to rent or something. So
okay, well maybe okay, or maybe I will watch it this week then.
So another movie you've watched?
So I saw Da 5 Bloods.
Right, and what is that?
That's the new Spike Lee movie.
Oh, okay.
So it's the new one that that Netflix released last week.
Mm-hmm.
Stars Delroy Lindo, Jonathan Majors, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, and Isaiah Whitlock Jr. So basically, this is it's a group of Vietnam vets who are going back to Vietnam to recover the body of their basically their leader, their captain, as it were, played by Chadwick Boseman, who obviously died over there, and they're going to sort of get his body back. Also, while they're also going to get this gold that they didn't pick up when they were there as well. They were not really doesn't really go into why the gold's there exactly. I just presume it's American gold that was going somewhere and got downed, and they basically didn't pick it up, so it got left there.
I mean, there are a lot of stories of that, aren't there?
Yeah, it's very sort of, was it Three Kings, something like that?
Yes, Three Kings dealt with a similar thing. Yeah,
you start off with obviously all these all sort of like meeting up in the hotel, sort of in Vietnam, sort of thing, and from there they sort of like, you know, they do the rounds. One of them, the Clark Peters character, he goes to meet an ex prostitute that was there when he was there, and he discovers he's got a daughter, and the Delroy Lindo character, his son turns up and says he found out what they're doing and he wants to go with them for the money as well, and obviously their relationship is a bit fractured.
Okay.
And obviously for at the beginning of this movie, Spike Lee wants to tell you about the relationship between Black American GIs and the way the government treated them and what they were used for.
Sure.
So he shows it's something that always slightly bothers me in movies, when they use real like footage of death and
I am never comfortable with that.
Not in a movie.
No, in a documentary, obviously. But fine. When it's entertainment, I definitely, I'm very uncomfortable.
I mean, he's clearly making a point, which is
sure, and it's an important point, and fine.
It's an important point. I understand that that's kind of what he wants to do.
But you still could have got that message across in an acted scene.
Yes,
you didn't need to use raw footage.
So from there you get they go into the jungle, they meet up with this group of mine clearers, and obviously it all goes a bit tits up and stuff, and the weird thing is, again, this is another 2.5 hour movie, and again for the first sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, it takes so long to set everything up that you were like, Christ, is something going to happen? When is it going to happen? And I think the weirdest thing for me is he obviously wants to tell you about these issues with black soldiers and all and how the government treats them, but then it sort of goes into sort of a sort of jealous gold treasure hunting movie.
It sounds like he was a bit confused as to which story he wanted to tell there.
Yeah, for me, it completely, when it starts getting into sort of, honestly, it's like bad Tarantino. It's like when it starts getting to there, I think it completely undermines the previous sort of message of inequality and
sure,
and what's going on.
It also seems like, to me, that almost feels like it's the wrong way round as well. Like, if I was going to do a caper and a commentary on racism during that period, I would have probably started with the caper and then gone dark, not started with that dark kind of aspect of history and then go, oh, here's a jolly caper, or here's not a jolly caper, but it seems a bit weird to me. Very strange.
It's a lot of people have praised Linda's character. He's the one that's affected the most. He's still got PTSD, and he's
okay. So they deal with that as well. That's good.
They do deal with that, but I at times I thought his character was too over the top and too pantomimey. There are moments of genuine sort of pathos and really sort of he does bring it forward, but sometimes it's so verging on ridiculous that I think it kind of brings it down too much.
Right.
I think Clark Peters' character, who seems to be the level-headed one, I thought his performance was fantastic. I mean, all of the actors in it are great, but I don't know, they seem a little wasted. There's some interesting ideas. So when they do flashbacks to when they were in Nam, the ratio changes and it goes into like old TV square sort of thing. So you get that. And the color sort of changes, so it looks like old sort of like footage from the war type thing. And what they've done is, obviously Chadwick Boseman died, so he's just there, but they haven't de-aged them or got other actors to play them.
Okay,
they're themselves as these old guys, which may be a little jarring, but actually I think if what they say is true and they wanted it to be their memories of what happened,
you kind of put yourself at that time
Yeah,
in the past. It's funny that, isn't it? When you think back to any moment in your past, if you think of yourself, then you think of yourself now.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
It's if that's true, then they genuinely did it that way. Then I think it's a really good decision. It strangely does work quite well with these sort of like him running around as this like young guy and these sort of like older dudes running around.
Mm.
You know, it's the actual fight scenes and things are quite well done, but they are exceedingly bloody. There's some stuff with landmines, which is like, whoa, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite expecting it to be quite so brutal, but
Mm.
I think overall that it didn't hold together as I wanted it to, because, like I said, he obviously he wants to make a point, but then it seems massively undermined by the sort of second half of the movie, and there
I
is some,
kind of feel like he would have been better off making one or the other, really.
yeah, absolutely,
Or both at different
I think
times, not in the same movie.
yeah, maybe if he'd have made a documentary about you know black soldiers in Vietnam, I think
Mm.
that would have served it a lot better than it does, I think, in this movie.
Or
Um,
even made a movie about it, but just focus on it.
yeah, well,
Don't
apparently
start that and then do something else.
the original, it's an adapted script, so the original script was literally just um, a treasure hunting sort of movie, really.
Mm.
It was with white soldiers that
Okay.
it was basically passed on, and it was given to Spike Lee, and he said, I can do something with this, and so he sort of took it over and adapted it for his purposes. Um, yes, there are so many beats as well that are from sort of like other movies. It's like I know it's very hard to do a Vietnam movie without invoking the music, without using, you know, but they use Ride of the Valkyries. They use, and you think that's, if you wanted to do your own thing,
That's not the way to do
really don't.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
having said that, they did that with Kong as well, the Skull Island, but for some reason,
I think it worked really well in
because it
Kong.
was a silly sort of,
But Kong wasn't. Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't trying to make a point about black soldiers. It was
no,
it was a
it's
silly,
a kaiju
monster
movie.
movie.
It's
Yeah,
it's a monster movie, and the soundtrack just complemented it, and it reinforced that because they were in the middle of a jungle, it could have been set in any time, and it kind of reinforces that Nam feel.
yeah,
And it, I mean, I think, yeah, Kong Skull Island, I think, is a unique situation where it's not trying to make a statement or be
no.
thoughtful in any way,
It's literally
really.
trying to put you in that place, so that's what it
And I
does.
think it does it very well. I think it's actually got one of the best soundtracks of recent memory, to be honest. I think.
Yeah.
Although I am very partial to that era of music anyway, so that
That's it. I
probably
mean, the
helps.
thing is, it's all really good music. I mean,
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye and stuff, and they uses it,
Mm.
and once or twice it's done really not really well, and it works sort of quite well. But other times it's like, oh, you're just using these beats, which
Yeah.
I think it underserves the movie slightly. And there
I
are
think
a
you
couple of
kind of
points where
expect
they,
more from Spike Lee as well,
well, I think so. I think so, and I think there's a couple of references to other movies like Bridge Over the River Kwai and even uh, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who played Clay Davis in The Wire,
Yeah.
even uses his shit line. The he
Really?
even uses that, and it's like, that's not. You're just sort of taking me out of the movie now. You're just reminding me of The Wire. Why
You
would you
should
do that?
never you should never remind people of better movies or
No,
series in
it's
your
it,
movie. It's not a good
it's
idea.
it's almost like it's like when somebody turns up in a TV show to sort of like as a guest star. It's like it feels like
Yeah, it's
that,
like, oh, let's get like Nathan Fillion in and have him say some lines from Firefly, and then I'm
Exactly.
like, well, now I just want to watch Firefly. So cheers.
Exactly. It was kind of like that, and I'm not. It's not a terrible movie. It's got
Sure.
some not. It does have some really good stuff in it,
I
and
mean, it's Spike Lee. It's going to have an
yeah,
element of quality to it.
and for the majority, the acting performances are really great.
Hmm.
But there was so much that was just sort of for me fell really flat and sort of kind of undermined a lot of what it was trying to do. So
it certainly sounds odd in its decision to kind of be almost two movies in one. I mean, Spike Lee's certainly the kind of director that could pull it off, but
well, he's
sounds like
he does this sort of bringing inequality to attention.
Oh,
really
absolutely!
Well in other
does
movies.
it extremely well.
Yeah,
in movies that are not necessarily 100% serious movies either. He's done it in comedies. He's done it in all sorts of.
I think he failed with this one. It's too long. It could have probably done with an hour shaved off. To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think I can recommend it either. I think there are better movies to watch, and I think if you want to see something about the Vietnam War, there's that awesome documentary on. I think Netflix has got it, which is like it's a massive documentary, and it's like a lot of parts. But if you want a really good in-depth look at the war, then watch that, because that'll tell you stuff that you know. But yeah, I couldn't recommend this one, I don't think.
That's a shame. So, as a brief aside, there is another film I've seen, but as a brief aside, I don't know if you've seen this, but I watched a really good documentary. I think I might have mentioned it the other day, but I watched Life After Flash. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to watch.
Highly recommend it. It was a really good documentary about the cast and crew of Flash and kind of what they've been up to since they made the movie. Focusing primarily around Sam Jones and obviously his life following the movie, and it's a really interesting documentary. If you have a love for that movie, as I do, and I'm sure you do as well, I'm sure we've talked about it before. It's a great documentary. They talk a lot about just how unique it comes from such a good place, this documentary, and they everyone speaks with reverence for the movie, how much they love the design of the movie, the props. They've got collectors in it as well, and people that have made it their life's work to collect props from the Flash movies. But the most interesting part is the story of Sam Jones, and he went through some stuff, following Flash. He got involved in drugs, he got involved in some real dark places, and it's really interesting to see that he's turned his life around. And there were things about him I had no idea, because obviously I've only ever seen him in Flash and then Ted and Ted 2. And it was really interesting to see that he was like a former Marine. I think he was a Marine. So when he couldn't, he continued to try and be Flash and be an actor, and he struggled for the longest time, and eventually now he eventually gave up. I think it cost him a marriage, and everything went terribly wrong for him, and then he pulled himself back up, and he works as a bodyguard now. He takes VIPs. He takes VIPs across the border into Mexico and back, into some of the worst parts of Mexico and back.
Wow.
And it's quite amazing to because I had no idea that he was like an ex-Marine, and he said it was really nerve-wracking at first, and he was very lucky because he's an actor. No one would take him seriously being a bodyguard and doing this work, and he said he was very fortunate that they discovered who he was about 6 weeks in, and he said they were like, what the fuck, like, you're an actor. But then by then he'd had long enough to prove himself and prove that he was actually competent and very good at his job. He said if it wasn't for that, they never would have hired him. It was it was pure luck that he managed to get away with it for 6 weeks or so before they actually realized, you're an actor. Crazy. But he's really turned his life around, and now he's back on the convention scene and loving Flash, and it's really good. It's a really good feel good kind of documentary about someone who's really turned their life back around.
I've always thought it was one of those big tragedies that we never got another Flash movie.
Oh, it's set up so well for another. I would have loved another Flash movie.
I remember the first time I ever watched that movie, and you see the end with the ring and the the sort of question mark comes up, and you're like, where's the other one? I must see this next.
I know. It sets it up so well. as it, and as the serials that it was based off of did as well, that cliffhanger ending. But yeah, I would have loved a sequel to Flash. But yeah, it's a lovely documentary about a person who had some dark times, so, an amount of success, some really dark times, and have really turned their life around. And yeah, it's really compelling to watch. There's a lot of, a lot of the other actors are kind of like, well, my life is great and always has been,
Yeah.
But it was a very interesting story for Sam, and it's a really nice, look at a classic movie, and just how much love there is for Flash as a movie. It's one of the most unique films, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of almost put it in that same kind of category as like Buckaroo Banzai and stuff like that. It's like those rare movies that you're never going to get those made again.
There's something of the Barbarella about it, and
it's Barbarella as well.
It's got a very sort of almost 60s sort of palette to it.
It really does, yes. But yeah, so a really really fun.
The designs were great. Everybody in it looks like they're having a ball.
In fact, when we're back in the same room again, we should watch Flash. That should be a movie we should watch, because that would be a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. That's fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
But yeah, it is a tremendous film. It really is. And I mean, a lot of the actors, even the actors that have gone on to, countless things since. I mean, anyone that thinks of Brian Blessed will think of him in Flash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about Brian Blessed is you'd have thought by now he'd be massively tired of saying that line, but he doesn't. He still loves doing it. He still will shout it to anybody he comes across. I absolutely love that he's willing to do that.
Well, interestingly enough, he says in the documentary, which I found really interesting, that as a kid he was obsessed with Flash. He loved.
And he loved Voltan.
He wanted more than anything to play Voltan. And he said, as a kid, he never would have imagined. So for him, playing that part was an absolute dream come true, which is why I think he's never got bored of it. In the same way that a lot of actors presumably get bored of being like, well, like you think famously Christopher Lee hated being like, I am not just Dracula, I am an actor, I do many roles. And he tried really hard, and I think really struggled in this country to separate himself from that role. I think Brian Blessed has just fully embraced it, because it was his life's dream as a child to play that part.
The character role he always wanted to play, he got it, and he was just tickled that he still gets to do it, sort of thing.
Exactly. And yeah, it's a really, really fun documentary. I highly recommend checking that out.
Okay, I think it's on my list to watch, and I think I'll have to make more of an effort to watch that then.
Yeah,
cool.
It's a real feel-good documentary. So, have you watched anything else?
I have. I watched the first season of Alex Rider.
Oh, I was meaning to see that. That's on Amazon. I know that one.
It is.
So I wasn't quite sure from this series, because I saw the cover of it and I was like, it's just going to be like
it's a terrible cover, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a teeny. It's going to be like one of those, those teen movies that we had from, But then I saw the trailer and I was like, wait a minute, this looks serious.
Have you seen Stormbreaker?
No.
So Stormbreaker was the first outing for this character. It was the.
Okay.
So it's not it's a redo. It's a redo. But the original movie was Alex Pettyfer, Mickey Rourke, Robbie Coltrane. Stephen Fry. It had a really good cast. There's Ewan McGregor, Bill Nye.
Wow.
And it's based on a YA series of books, which takes the premise that the main character's uncle, because who's brought him up. Turns out that he's actually a spy. He's never told him he's a spy and stuff, and he gets killed. And then Alex basically discovers that his uncle was a spy, and they end up using him for missions because, unbeknownst to the kid, they go. He thinks his uncle worked in a bank, but when they go on holidays, like they go mountaineering and kayaking, and like they do like mad things. And obviously, unbeknownst to him, his uncle's kind of been training him all his life.
Oh, okay. Well, like just wax on, wax off kind of like.
Yeah, sort of, without him really realizing, what's going on.
Yeah.
So this is obviously it's like it's a new version, and it's Otto Farrant plays Alex, and it's got Vicky McClure, who is always like brilliant. I really like Vicky McClure.
Yeah.
Stephen Dillon and a sort of few other sort of character actors that you go, oh, that person from that sort of thing.
Sure.
So this is what instead of doing the first book, I think they decided, because there was already a movie of it and they didn't want it that much of a comparison, I guess they started with the second book and retooled it. So you get sort of Alex and his sort of uncle gets killed, and then obviously there's this this place called Point Blank in sort of the mountains of where young sort of rich delinquents have been sent, and they come back slightly wrong, and their parents have accidents.
Right.
So Alex basically gets kind of blackmailed into becoming an agent and going into this sort of like this resort. No, sorry, it's not a resort. It's a school for sort of rich delinquents, as it were. Okay. And it sort of obviously the people that are in there have obviously been specially chosen because their parents are either like media moguls, or they're like shipping
influential
magnates.
People.
Yeah. And I really liked it. It's despite the fact that it's obviously aimed for a younger audience.
Well, I thought it was, but the trailer got quite dark in places.
It is, and there's some actually really sort of quite brutal fight scenes and things in it, which
it's
really
kind of piqued my interest, to be honest. Because I wasn't going to bother, and then I saw the trailer, because Amazon does that annoying thing on the Fire Stick where if you hang over something long enough, it'll just start playing a trailer.
Yeah, I hate that.
I do as well. I turn it off usually. I haven't yet on this. I keep meaning to. But yeah, I was like, oh wow, actually this kind of looks like a bit more adult than I was expecting.
Yeah, some of the spy stuff's a little bit twee, and it's a little sort of like unbelievable.
Sure.
But overall, it's a really enjoyable little sort of spy series that's well acted. Oh. The main two sort of young people, Alex and his best mate, they're really sort of like, I think they're really believable. They're really quite funny and not at all annoying, which is always for me it's like how annoying are the kids. If the kids are annoying, it can fuck off.
Yeah, I've not seen I've not seen him in anything actually. I don't think. I think I've seen him in. I think I saw him in the Clash of the Titans remake, but I think he was a child then, like a proper child. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I really liked it. It's got some nice little things in it. It's it moves along at a pretty good pace. There's no sort of like moments where you're like waiting for anything to happen and stuff. For the majority of that, most of the characters are pretty believable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a nicely done little spy sort of young adult spy series. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, great. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I shall definitely give that a watch. Well, speaking of adult movies, I finally reunited with my girlfriend. Yep. So, of course, we watched Sonic the Hedgehog.
Brilliant.
Because we were going to watch it. It was that and The Invisible Man. Still haven't watched The Invisible Man, although it is my birthday tomorrow, so maybe watch Invisible Man tomorrow night. I don't know. Brilliant. But so we watched Sonic the Hedgehog. We wanted to watch it together, and why not? So it's directed by Jeff Fowler, starring James Marsden, Ben Schwartz, Tika Sumpter, and Jim Carrey, who honestly carries this movie. So it's about Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know if I need to explain who Sonic the Hedgehog is. In this movie,
tell me more about this strange hedgehog character.
Strange blue hedgehog. Well, in this movie, he's an extraterrestrial blue hedgehog.
I thought that was the way. Yeah,
and he runs at supersonic speeds. So he is sought after by a tribe of echidnas, the Knuckles characters from that's the ones. Yeah, echidnas. So they're after him for his power. So his guardian, Longclaw, the owl,
Right.
has a bag of magic rings, and one of those rings, when thrown, create a portal. So Longclaw creates a portal for Sonic to escape them, and he ends up on Earth as a child. And then the movie skips forward 10 years, where Sonic's been living his life near the town of Green Hills. Get it?
Right.
In Montana. So he's basically been living his life in Green Hills.
What, like in secret?
Yes, in secret, but
Right,
it's
okay.
kind of funny. So they basically make out that he's been living there for 10 years on his own. He's basically been watching everyone in the town. So he acts like everyone in the town is his friend and that they all know who he is. But
Right.
no one knows that he exists because he's so fast.
Yeah.
But he kind of has been watching people. Oh, there's one guy, and that's actually quite funny. There's one guy, this crazy guy. I think they call him like Crazy Pete or something like that. And he believes in this blue blur is like like a Yeti or a Bigfoot. He's like
Right.
the town kook, and everyone's just like, oh, you're just mental. He's the one guy that knows that Sonic exists. But he's been watching these townspeople forever, including the local sheriff, who is played by James Marsden, who he ends up befriending on this road trip, for want of a better word. So Sonic's really bored and really depressed, and one day he gets so frustrated, he's kind of playing a game of baseball with himself. And he gets so bored that he ends up going really, really fast, and something happens. His powers kind of ignite, and he causes this big blackout, and he comes to the attention of the military, who think it's like a massive EMP or something like that, but not quite understanding what is going on. They bring in their crazy specialist, played by Jim Carrey, who is of course Dr. Robotnik or Eggman. And Jim Carrey is having the best time playing this part. I'm assuming he's a big Sonic fan anyway. He strikes me as the kind of person that would be. He is having the best time. He kind of plays Robotnik as a combination of like Edward Nygma and the Cable Guy. It's kind of like a bit of both in there. Not that that's a negative. I think it works really well for the character. He really does. He's clearly having a lot of fun. So the policeman basically ends up finding Sonic. He ends up tranquilizing him by accident, thinking he's a raccoon. Because they keep getting raccoons steal stuff from the shed or something like that, or break into the shed. So he thinks it's a raccoon in the shed. He goes in, gets scared by Sonic, and shoots him. So they end up making friends, because then obviously Robotnik turns up after Sonic, and the rings get lost. I can't remember how they get lost now, because it's a couple of weeks ago now. But the rings end up getting lost, and he needs to get to this tower in order to retrieve the rings. I think it's in San Francisco.
The space tower.
Oh yes, I think it is. So he needs to go there to get the ring, to find his way home again, to escape, or to go to a different world. So there's a world full of mushrooms, and he's like, oh, I hate mushrooms. And it's obviously a big Mario joke, I'm assuming. But he basically is like, I need to escape this place. But there's a lot of heart to this movie. I was surprised at how much heart there was. So the local sheriff, Tom Wachowski, I think his name is, and his wife Maddie are planning to relocate to San Francisco.
Right.
Whereas Sonic thinks that Green Hills is like the coolest place on Earth. It's like the only place he's ever really been, but he thinks it's amazing. And Sonic gets really upset when he discovers that Tom wants to go to San Francisco. He's like, how dare you? Like, you've got family in Green Hills. Green Hills is your home. You shouldn't leave. Tom wants to get hired by the San Francisco Police Department and become like, a big shot cop. And he wants to save a life is his thing. He's like, I want to save lives. So obviously he decides that saving Sonic's life is akin to that, and that he should do it. And he then subsequently goes on the run with the government after him and Sonic. The movie doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. I mean, it sounds stupid to say that about a film about an extraterrestrial blue hedgehog who's faster than the speed of sound, but there is literally a scene in this movie where James Marsden's character is like, look, just fuck off, Sonic. I can't be doing with it. I don't need this, right? So you go. And he's like, I don't know where to go. And he's like, right, San Francisco's in that direction. And he just points in that direction. And Sonic runs. And he runs and runs and runs. And he comes back within like seconds with like a fish on him. And he's obviously ran all the way into the ocean and then come back, right? And that's really hilarious. But then you're like, so why is he in a car during this movie? Like, this is no. I mean, at first he's been tranquilized, so there's kind of like, okay, he can't run safely, but then obviously that wears off, and then you're like, why is this continuing? But I guess without it, we wouldn't have this road trip. And they say, well, he doesn't know the way. I kind of think he could have just ran around until he found the way, but sure, he can run from one end. He's basically the Flash, so it's like, you know, I don't think it'd be a problem. But either way, you know, we're on for the ride. And I think it honestly worked really well. It's a surprisingly charming kids movie. I think it does the character justice. He acts like Sonic. He now looks like Sonic, thankfully. Yeah. Thanks to the redesign, which looks great, by the way. I think Sonic looks fantastic the whole movie. Some really weird inconsistencies, though, where, and no fault of them, I'm really glad they did it. But you can see the result of them changing Sonic in this movie in a few places. We do get it's minor, but we do get a surprise in the mid-credits. Probably not a surprise to anyone, because I guessed the surprise as soon as the movie started. I was like, I hope they end with this, and they did. But that aside, there are some weird moments, like Longclaw the owl. Is like the Sonic's mentor or like guardian, I guess, his like, you know, surrogate parent.
I don't remember there being an owl in the game.
There isn't. Well, there are owls that fly out when you free, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
but
the little
so this is. I think this character was made up for the film, which is fine. No problem with that. They gave Sonic a bit of backstory, and I think it works really great, to be honest. But the weird thing is that Longclaw the owl is in the design of the original Sonic design.
Oh, so he's got the weird eyes.
Well, he looks more like an actual animal. Right. So Longclaw looks like much more like an owl, whereas Sonic looks very much like a cartoon on screen.
Yeah.
So
it's got tails in it.
That's the end credits. Yeah.
Oh, I was just looking at the picture.
It's all right. That's not really a spoiler to anyone. I guess that was going to happen. So Tails turns up right in the mid credits. Tails turns up and says, "Oh, we need to find Sonic," and you know.
Okay.
But yeah, so Tails isn't really in it. But yeah, so it's kind of weird where you've got this owl character who's clearly like the original art style, and then everyone else in the movie is the new art style. But I guess they just didn't have time to change everything. So I found
the owl. Yeah, he looks
like he would have fit with the original Sonic design, not the new Sonic design.
Yeah, he looks like one of the Gahul owls, doesn't he?
Yeah. So it's a minor thing, and obviously they can't be blamed. They spent an absolute fortune and a lot of time getting this right again. For Sonic and presumably Tails, they must have redesigned as well. So I think they did a great job. And overall, it's really just a fun, road movie.
Yeah,
good fun kids movie.
Detective Pikachu.
I haven't seen Detective Pikachu.
Oh no!
I'm willing to bet that Detective Pikachu's probably better though, from what I've heard. I liked Sonic, but from everything I've heard about Detective Pikachu, sounds like it's incredible. So I think easy for me to say. I think Detective Pikachu may be the better of the movies, but I will definitely. In fact, that one is on my list. I really want to see Detective Pikachu soon.
Yeah,
that's another movie I'm not allowed to see without my girlfriend, though. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but no, it was really good fun. Sonic. I think they did. Thank God they changed that design. And it goes to show that really, the film, they had a pretty fun, enjoyable movie here. And just amazing the difference that changing that design makes, really.
Yeah, they definitely made the right decision with that one.
Absolutely. And really good fun. So have you seen anything else, Matt, or is that?
I have.
Oh,
I've seen one more movie. I have seen 7500.
okay, and what is that?
So it's came out this week, and it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so this is the plane movie, right?
Yes, it's a
I
hijack
nearly
movie.
watched it. Nearly watched it. Yeah. Is it
So
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
it is. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and a few other actors that I don't really know. Carlos Kurtzlinger, Alien Tazil, and I can't remember what the kid was called, but he was quite good. So basically, it's almost completely takes place in the cockpit of the plane. You
Oh,
really
okay.
you really don't sort of see anything else really. You see the corridor of the plane, and you see the people like in the airport getting ready to board at the very beginning. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the co-pilot of this. It's a German Airlines plane, so pretty much everybody on this plane is German. He's the only American,
Right.
and he's there with his German captain. They're going through all the prep, and one of the stewardesses is his girlfriend that they have a kid with, and they basically start the plane off. They get going, and when the one of the stewardesses is about to come in with drinks for them, um, but basically the plane gets hijacked, and um, these people force their way in. They've made knives out of broken bottles,
Right.
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt manages to subdue one of them and shut the door so that the others can't get in. But not before he is injured and his captain is severely injured.
Okay.
And then what happens then is you've got this sort of standoff between him and some of the hijackers, which are on the other side of the door, which they can only be opened by the in the cabin.
Right.
And
Yeah, they're
it's
pretty secure.
yeah,
Those
they are.
cabins.
They are now. Yeah, since I think since 9/11, they
Yeah,
made sure that you can't
I
get
think
in
they're
there
pretty much
unless.
impossible for you to get in unless you're
Yeah.
willing to destroy the plane, which would midair.
So you see he's in obviously he's in the cabin,
Yeah.
and all you can see is this little screen over the door out of what's going on outside, and they've pulled the
Right.
curtain across, and um there are two sort of hijackers that are trying to get in. There's a young boy and this older guy who is basically threatening to cut the throat of a passenger if they don't let him in.
Mm.
And Gordon Levitt is talking to the sort of control, and he's saying, uh, we've been hijacked. The 5700 is a code. It's the code for hijack situation.
Hmm.
And what you get then is this amazingly tense sort of it's about an hour and a half sort of movie of all in this cockpit of this sort and it goes through this sort of gamut of emotions with Levitt, who is absolutely brilliant. I mean, Levitt's brilliant anyway.
He's a tremendous actor.
He
He
really
really
is
is.
a fantastic actor, and he's really good because he pretty much almost it's all him. It's almost all him carrying this really sort of low key, but in sort of intense. I'll say low key. It's not low key. It's a very intense, brilliantly done sort of movie in this very confined space.
Mm.
And he sort of he ends up having this sort of this dialogue with this young boy in this that's one of the hijackers. And I'm not going to spoil anything or anything like that, but it felt very real and very visceral, and it's an amazing performance by Levitt, and it completely made up for the crap I've watched in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, that sounds really good. I was tempted to watch that. I'm glad you have.
I think
I will give that a watch.
it's not going to be for everyone because it is, like I said, it is just basically mostly one actor in a very confined space. So it's
Well,
I imagine,
I like those kind of movies, to be honest, when they're executed well.
And this is executed well.
And I know, incidentally, I'm sure we'll get to it after this. Obviously, Joel Schumacher's died at age 80 this week.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite movies of his is Phone Booth. I think that's a tremendous film.
I've still not seen Phone Booth.
I think it's a really good film, but very much the same, where you have basically a very small cast in one location.
Yeah.
But when it's done well, it really works, and I'm really interested to see this movie now.
I really enjoyed it. I can this one I can definitely recommend highly. It's a really good, tense little sort of like confined movie. It's really good. I really enjoy it. The director, Patrick Vollerath, who I think it's a German director. I think that he's only done a few other things, and I think this might be what
I think it's his
English thing.
I think it's his first feature as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's his first proper feature, and it's really well done. Really, really beautifully directed. For what you see on screen, it's a really great movie. I really can't recommend it enough.
Wow, I will definitely be checking that out. So, have you seen anything else, or are we moving on to news?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, well let's move on to obviously the unfortunate passing of Joel Schumacher, age 80. What a talented director, honestly. Yeah. I know that for some reason most people only seem to think of Batman and Robin, which is criminal.
That kills me that people only ever see him as that. Like,
and the thing is, he's the ruiner of the Batman franchise. Oh, he's not. That honestly, that series of movies, honestly, if we're going to be honest about it, as much as I love Batman Returns was the move towards camp, and it started in that movie and continued. Joel Schumacher, especially when you watch Batman and Robin, it's not for me. It's not a movie that I enjoy, but you can see he just wanted to do 66 Batman. He just loved 66 Batman, and when you watch it with that kind of knowledge, you can see what he was doing.
That's what the company wanted.
Yes, exactly. They wanted to sell toys.
They wanted to sell toys.
I'll bet it did. I'll bet it sold a lot of toys.
They couldn't do that with Burton's freaky stuff. So
But I mean, St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys.
I love St. Elmo's Fire.
Flatliners.
Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I know it's one of your favorite movies of all time. It's got a very special place in my heart too.
So and St. Elmo's Fire is another one of those movies that's right up there with with the Brat Pack stuff. It's a brilliant movie. It's a really good movie about what happens when once you've graduated. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. And then, like I said, he seems to be thought of as this camp director, but then you look at films like A Time to Kill, 8mm, which is one of the darkest movies
8mm is a massively dark movie. It's a great movie. Also, one of Cage's most understated performances as well.
I actually think 8mm is a tremendous film. It's really dark, and it's one of Cage's best performances, I think, in terms of like a non-cagey performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tigerland was tremendous as well. Phone Booth, some low budget movies as well.
Yeah, but I really think somehow he gets lumbered with the ruiner of Batman. It's like no, it's like that. No. It's a very minor thing of his career.
And to be honest,
I realized he was a costume designer before he was.
Yeah,
and
apparently
he worked on things like The Wiz and stuff like that. Blimey.
I think, to be honest, even if he did ruin Batman, which he didn't, because look at how big Batman still is. Even if he had, he still made Lost Boys. So for me, I'm never going to be that angry. It's like when it's like when people are like, "Oh, fuck George Lucas for the prequels." I'm like, "Well, I hated the prequels, but he still made the original trilogy. I'm never going to hate it."
Exactly. Yeah.
It's fine. He's still an amazing director. So yeah, and I mean, even Batman Forever is not too bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrendous.
Wow. I don't know.
It's certainly on the turn, but
it's got there are certain moments with irony that I like, but
no, that's Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of Forever with Val Kilmer and
of course, I always
Tommy
get
Jones
and the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a strange film, to be honest.
Yeah,
with one face. He's literally mental the whole time. He's not split personality at all. Like, he's literally the evil side of Two-Face the entire movie, which is really strange. Is like you've missed the whole point of this character. But but either way,
we should have got the Billy D one.
Oh, for sure. I'm so glad he got to do that in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
That really pleased me. He finally got to do that. But who knows? Maybe we will get to see Billy D's Two-Face after all, because apparently Michael Keaton's Batman is returning for Flashpoint.
Absolutely. I'm so happy about this.
I couldn't be happier. I don't know what is going on, but I am happy.
The only thing that would make me more happier is if they brought back Pfeiffer as well.
They might.
I mean, that would be awesome.
They have basically said that it's not just for Flashpoint. He's in talks to come back as like a regular to the DC universe. So apparently it's going to be his 89 Batman.
Yep.
As like, I guess Dark Knight Returns aged, or maybe even Batman of the future.
Yeah. I'm guessing he's going to probably be more Bruce Wayne than Batman, but
I could see him doing Dark Knight Returns Batman.
Yeah,
like that one last mission Batman. But I think after that he's going to become a mentor or something. I guess he gets trapped in our universe or the main DC universe or something.
Yeah.
Either way, this is for the kid in me is so happy.
I read somebody saying he's going to probably be the Samuel L. Jackson.
He's going to be Nick Fury
character who's going to turn up in all the other movies, which I'm completely down with. I'm happy with that.
In no offense to the Nick Fury character, because I think it's a great character and I think that Samuel L. Jackson does a great job.
Yeah.
But the fact that DC are going to have 89 Batman as their Nick Fury, I think they've won that particular top front. That one, they've lost in practically every other aspect, but that's the one where I'm like, okay, that works for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and wow, I would be very happy with this.
I was wondering whether they were going to recast the Flash actually after what's his face's little weird outburst.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded pretty bad, to be honest. I'm surprised they're still going with it.
Yeah, that was very odd. And to be fair, I didn't really like his Flash anyway.
No, he doesn't he doesn't act like the Flash very much.
Very weird, comical.
It's in the same way that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is very un-Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
They're both very it's like, okay. I mean, Ezra Miller's Flash is very quick. That's about the only thing that he's got in, anything to do with Flash, as far as I can see. And in the same way that Jesse Eisenberg is like, okay, yeah, he's really rich and evil, but he's not Lex, is he, in any way?
No.
So that's going to be interesting. I'm excited. To be honest, I wasn't going to go see Flashpoint, but if Keaton's Batman
I probably won't either.
If he has a reasonable role in it, I will go see it.
Yeah, definitely. If he just turns up in it, maybe not. But
if it's a cameo, then I'll wait.
He's got, because I know I heard that also Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, he was long rumored to be playing Thomas Wayne. Now apparently that's confirmed or back in talks or something.
I think that's I totally on board with that. He would make a great Thomas Wayne Batman.
Well, he's already played Thomas Wayne as well, hasn't he? So, wasn't he? Didn't he in Batman v Superman? Wasn't Jeffrey?
Yeah, no, sorry, yes, of course, yeah. So I was thinking when you said Thomas Wayne, I thought you meant that version of Thomas Wayne. Yeah, no, that's why they picked him, because he was Thomas Wayne in the
and also series. He's still got the physicality and is still a fucking terrifying human being.
He's a massively imposing dude, isn't he? So,
he really is, which is really funny because if you ever see interviews with him, he seems like the sweetest guy on the planet.
He really does, doesn't he?
Seems like the nicest guy. Yeah. But then you see him as like Negan or as
you see him in P.S. I Love You, and he's like this sweet Irish guitar player. It's like
yeah. But then you see him as like someone like the Comedian, and you're like, wow, he is so horrendous. He's such a good actor, a good actor, and so I'm actually really excited for the Flash movie, which I never thought I'd say.
Yeah, same here.
To be quite honest, not really for the Flash. I kind of hope that the Flash starts the movie and then just buggers off for most of it.
Well,
I'll just watch Keaton's Batman and
the animated Flashpoint is a really good film. Actually, I thought that was quite
good. Actually,
it's a really good version.
Well, I guess they're going to do some of that because Flashpoint does have Thomas Wayne in it anyway, doesn't it, as Batman?
Yes.
So I guess they'll be doing that.
In the Flashpoint version, it's Bruce that dies.
Yeah.
And Thomas Wayne becomes the Batman, and Martha becomes the Joker.
Batman with guns.
Yeah, Batman with guns. Yeah, definite sort of almost bordering on evil Batman.
Well, I think he kind of is, isn't he? He's been driven insane by what happened that day. And I love the twist that Martha is the Joker. I think that's a wonderful,
that's a great one.
In terms of like an Elseworlds style story, what a terrific idea.
Yeah, I really like that version. It's very cool.
And hey, DC's only got like 50 Jokers already. Why not check it out?
Yeah.
Between the movies and the TV series, I have lost count how many Jokers we've got now. But yeah, tremendous. I'm really excited for that. I've always said Keaton doesn't get enough work, but I should probably stop saying it now because these days he actually is getting quite a lot of work.
He's picked back up, thankfully.
I think since Birdman. I think Birdman was the turning point.
Yeah, Birdman was I think it was the movie that showed that look, he can actually act and he's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people were like they kind of forgotten about him.
I hadn't.
No.
I was still watching.
Casting directors certainly had.
Still watching fucking White Noise, and it's like, oh well, it's Michael Keaton. I'll go to the cinema.
That's not a bad movie.
It's not actually. It's all right. It's passable. But yeah, great news. So we went from horrible news to good news. Any other news that you're aware of right now?
We should also mention on the bad news front. We should also mention Ian Holm as well.
Ian Holm, yes, of course. I did forget. Shame on me. I mean,
what a career he had. Started off in theatre and came into movies quite late, sort of,
He did late in his career, yeah. He will always, I know a lot of people are like Bilbo. For me, he will always be Ash from Alien. One of the best performances. I've often thought about this because I know there was always a big ongoing argument within the making of Alien. Was that Brandywine Studios messed with it and didn't really do much to add to the story, and then claimed that it was all theirs. And there was that big fight between the writer and the studio. But one thing they did create was Ash, and I think Ash really does make that movie.
He does.
As much as anything else, I think Ash adds a much needed extra dimension to that movie.
Plus, when he actually loses, when he glitches, he's completely terrifying.
Oh, I always thought that the scene with the rolled up magazine and Ripley was the most terrifying things. He starts making those noises and twitching, and it's like, he's amazing. He's so good in that movie. And then obviously, he's been in hundreds of movies and productions.
One of my favorite performances is Fifth Element. I think he's so
tremendous.
He's so funny in that. Is the sort of monk guy. He's brilliant. Such a great performer.
And Time Bandits.
Absolutely, yeah. And the great thing about him was that he was one of those actors that was always fantastic, but was always never really wanted to be the focus. Was happy to be, one of the minor characters that brought always
character actor
full on, performances.
Yeah.
I mean, even like he's not in it very much, but when he is in it, he's brilliant. Is Victor's father in Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
He's very good in that. Yeah.
When his wife dies, that performance he gives is fantastic. It's a brilliant performance.
It really is. Yeah. It's a real loss, I must admit. I think he was an absolutely tremendous actor. But yeah, a real loss for sure. But any other news?
No, I think that's it for the most parts. Yeah,
it's a bit of a downer to end.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could end on saying the tremendous life and works of Ian Holm.
Absolutely.
Go watch Alien. Go watch From Hell. Go watch Time Bandits.
Of course, From Hell. I'd completely forgotten about From Hell. He's
brilliant.
He's not a great movie, but really.
I like it. It's flawed, but it's got some really good moments.
It's not the graphic novel, which I think is probably my problem with it.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough.
They changed a lot, but I do like Johnny Depp's performance in that. So.
Yeah, I think he's good in it. And then also, of course, Joel Schumacher. Go watch The Lost Boys.
Go watch The Lost Boys. Go watch
St. Elmo's Fire.
Elmo's Fire.
Yeah. But I think that'll about do it then. So we'll hopefully be back next week with some more movies. And cinemas are reopening, so I guess we'll have that to talk about if nothing else. We'll see what's going on there.
See what's being released.
Yes. Until next time. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Bye.